Imagine falling asleep on your couch and waking up covered in blood, accused of murder. Now imagine the court declaring you not guilty because you were sleepwalking. Sounds impossible, right? But it actually happened. Today we uncover the shocking science behind sleepwalking, how the brain wakes up halfway, how people drive, cook, paint, and even commit crimes while asleep. This video will change the way you think about sleep forever. Hello, friends. On 24th of May, 1987, a 23-year-old man in Canada, Kenneth Parks, was sleeping on his sofa in the middle of the night. He had lost all his money in horse racing. He was riddled with debt and had lost his job, too. A few hours ago, he fell asleep while watching Saturday Night Live on TV. He planned to visit his in-laws the next day to ask them for some money. But during the night, around 1:30 a.m., all of a sudden, he got out of the sofa and got into his car. In the dead of the night, he drove about 22 kilometers on the highway and reached his in-laws' house. He had a spare key to the house with which he opened the doors and got inside. After that, he killed his mother-in-law and caused severe injuries to his father-in-law. Not only that, confused and covered in blood, he went to the police station and confessed to killing 2 people. He had deep wounds on his hands, but he was not in pain. While being transported to the hospital in an ambulance, he told them where he had kept his murder weapon, the knife. But the strangest part of this story is that Kenneth Parks had no reason to kill his in-laws. During the trial, everyone was shocked to hear his lawyer's defense. They said that Kenneth Parks had committed this crime while asleep. He wasn't conscious, so he shouldn't be punished. Because Kenneth Parks was sleepwalking. Was Kenneth Park really sleepwalking? Is it possible for someone to do this while sleeping? If someone does something like this while sleepwalking, should he be considered responsible for it or not? And the biggest question is, why do some people behave like this while sleeping? What is the science behind it? In this video, let's decode the mystery of sleepwalking. In medical terms, sleepwalking is called somnambulism. It's a type of sleep disorder that occurs during non-REM sleep. Actually, friends, human sleep behavior is broadly classified into 2 parts. One is the rapid eye movement sleep, also known as REM sleep, and the other is non-rapid eye movement, that is NREM sleep. As their names tell you, during REM sleep, our eyes keep moving rapidly. The eyes may be closed, but the eyeballs move rapidly, but not during the NREM sleep. So when we go to sleep, first we enter NREM sleep. NREM sleep can be further classified into 3 stages. During the first stage, we start to feel slightly sleepy. There's a decrease in the ability to react to any sound or external activity. Gradually, the sleep quality deepens, and the stage 3 of NREM is the deepest sleep. In this stage, it gets difficult to wake up a sleeping person. And even if you wake them up, they feel confused and disoriented. After the 3 stages of NREM, a person enters REM sleep, and this is when people dream. At this stage, the heart rate spikes, and the brain becomes relatively more active. The brain starts consolidating memories and processing emotions. This is why we dream. Well, dreaming is a separate and detailed topic. We'll discuss it in another video. But coming back to sleepwalking, it doesn't happen during the REM stage. Sleepwalking occurs during the deepest sleep. Stage 3 of NREM. A person might start walking in his sleep. His eyes might be open. He might be reacting to the events around him. It might look like he's conscious and awake, while in reality, all his sensory perceptions are almost inactive. His eyes might be open. He doesn't see things like us. Won't be able to smell or hear. He might find his way around due to habit and a few bumps here and there. But in reality, he doesn't think about doing any of this. Quite often, the eyes of sleepwalkers might be rolled upwards, and they have a blank expression on their face. And the most important thing is that everything that happens during sleepwalking is forgotten upon waking up. If a person is woken up during sleepwalking, he remains confused and disoriented for some time. The same behavior when someone is woken up from stage 3 sleep of NREM. Humans have sleep cycles, and we go through all 4 stages in each sleep cycle. N1, N2, N3 REM sleep, and then back to N1. One sleep cycle lasts from 90 minutes to 110 minutes. When you go to sleep during the first half of the night, the duration of N3 in a sleep cycle is relatively longer, and as it gets closer to the morning, REM sleep starts occupying more time. Waking up from N1 sleep is the most comfortable. When you wake up from N1 sleep, you feel fresh and energetic. But if you wake up from N3 sleep, you will continue to feel sleepy and drowsy. This is the reason behind the advice popular on social media, that you should sleep for either 7.5 hours or 9 hours. Because most probably this will be the end of the sleep cycle. It's assumed that each sleep cycle lasts 1.5 hours, but this depends upon each person and how long your sleep cycle is exactly. You have to monitor. When do you wake up feeling fresh? That will tell you whether you woke up from N1 sleep or some other stage. Coming back to sleepwalking, sleepwalking episodes can last anywhere from a few minutes to several hours. The frequency varies too. Some people get an episode once a month, and some struggle with multiple episodes every week. And it's interesting to note what a person can get up to while sleepwalking. Take the British-Australian artist Lee Hadwin, for example. This guy can paint while sleepwalking. No kidding, this is a true story. When he was 15 years old, he drew 3 paintings of famous Hollywood actresses while sleepwalking. And the strangest thing is that he can't draw anything while awake. He can paint only while he's asleep. He is expressing this by creating artwork. It's just a really nice manifestation of what his more emotional system is doing when it's not inhibited by these frontal areas. There was a similar case in Scotland where Robert Wood gets up during the night to cook. He can cook dishes like omelette and pasta while sleeping. This earned him the title of sleepwalking chef. There have been some famous Indian examples too. Cricketer Sachin Tendulkar used to sleepwalk during the earlier stages of his career. In an interview, Sourav Ganguly said that in the 1990s, when they were roommates in England, Sachin would get up at 1:30 a.m. in the night and would walk aimlessly in the room and then sit in a chair. He was my roommate in England. One night I saw that he was walking. After some time, he sat in a chair. When Ganguly asked Sachin why he does this, he replied that he was a sleepwalker. I told him that he was scaring me, asked him why he does that, so he said that he sleepwalks. He had this habit of sleepwalking. But the unfortunate thing is that not everyone is as creative or harmless while sleepwalking. Many times, people turn violent and commit crimes, like in case of Kenneth Parks in Canada. I'll talk about this later in the video, but first let's figure out why sleepwalking exists. In India, there are many rumors related to sleepwalking. Some connect it to ghosts. Some say that it's because of memories of one's past life. But friends, the truth is that it has nothing to do with ghosts, past life, or spirits. Sleepwalking is a purely neurological phenomenon. It happens due to the incomplete awakening of the brain. That is, some part of the human brain remains asleep while the other parts are awake. Though the exact reasoning behind why this happens is not very clear yet, but according to the latest scientific research, when the body is preparing to go into deep sleep, when it prepares to transition into the N3 stage, something disrupts this transition. The processes for deep sleep and being awake overlap. Because when someone sleepwalks, the part of the brain that controls movement is awake, while the part controlling consciousness remains asleep. This is why motor activities are possible while sleepwalking. People can walk, sit, stand, and some people can even drive cars, cook, and even paint. This is possible because even without the involvement of higher neural structures of the brain, parts like the brainstem and cerebellum can control complex emotional and motor behaviors. Our autonomic nervous system, as you've studied in school, keeps us breathing without our conscious will, controls physiological functions like the heart rate and digestion. Our body doesn't need us to think about doing these tasks. The autonomic nervous system has 2 branches. The sympathetic branch to control the fight or flight response. That is, it controls our responses when faced with a danger. And the other is the parasympathetic branch to control the rest and digest responses. In 2021, there was an interesting discovery about the autonomic nervous system of sleepwalkers. This research found that among sleepwalkers during N3 sleep, the sympathetic branch is less active while the parasympathetic branch remains elevated. This means that the rest and digest responses are activated while the fight or flight responses are toned down. This was a shocking discovery because before this it was believed that the deep sleep of sleepwalkers would have lower rest and digestive responses and higher fight or flight responses, with many believing that this was the cause of sleepwalking. But the latest research showed the exact opposite. According to some recent studies, sleepwalking in older adults can be a sign of neurodegenerative diseases such as dementia, Parkinson's disease, or cognitive decline. Another common myth here is that people who sleepwalk walk with their hands raised like zombies. But that's not true. Apart from this, another misconception that people have is that if sleepwalkers are awakened, they can suffer a heart attack or they can go into a coma. This isn't true either. But as I said earlier, it's better not to wake them up, because they will feel confused and disoriented. Another question here is that globally, how many people have this sleep disorder? According to this meta-analysis, 6.9% people will sleepwalk at least once in their life. Sleepwalking is the most common among children. Sleepwalking episodes are seen the most among males between the ages of 7 to 15 years. But fortunately, in most cases, this stops by the time they reach adulthood. When children sleepwalk, they generally look calmer or slower. But adult sleepwalkers exhibit quick movements, as if they are in a hurry. They start walking fast or just flop down somewhere. Sometimes there are weird movements enough to scare some people even. We don't yet know the exact reason why there is such a difference between young and adult sleepwalkers. Scientists are still trying to get to the root. Whether you can sleepwalk or not is decided by genetics to a large extent. According to a study published in JAMA Pediatrics, children with only one parent with a sleepwalking history have a 47.4% chance of sleepwalking. But if both parents have a sleepwalking history, the chances increase to 61.5%, whereas children whose parents do not have a sleepwalking history have only a 22.5% chance of sleepwalking. Researchers have identified a genetic locus of chromosome 20q12q13.12, which possibly plays a role in children inheriting sleepwalking disorder from their parents. But apart from genetics, there are other factors that can trigger sleepwalking episodes in susceptible people. Like the first and biggest reason, sleep deprivation, lack of proper sleep. Our bodies need sufficient slow-wave sleep to wake up properly. So if a person isn't sleeping well, it increases their chances of partial awakening and sleepwalking. The brain is stuck in deep sleep mode for a long time trying to get the sleep it required, and so we cannot transition to the next stage smoothly. Secondly, stress can trigger episodes of sleepwalking too. But even here, it depends largely on how much does the judge believe the accused. Now, hurting others is one thing, but friends, sleepwalkers can even end up hurting themselves. While sleepwalking, people often bump into walls, furniture, or large objects, and can get badly injured. The biggest danger is falling down the stairs or balcony, especially if there are no safety grills. In June 2024, a similar case took place in Mumbai. A 19-year-old boy living on the 6th floor of a high-rise building, Mustafa Ibrahim Chunawala, reached the balcony while sleepwalking. There was no safety grill on this balcony. Somehow, he fell down the balcony and died. After this, the biggest danger is while sleepwalking, people sometimes walk directly into traffic. They start driving. For women, this becomes even more dangerous. If you know someone who often goes out of the house at night while sleepwalking, do not take this lightly at all. Securing the environment is the most important thing. There should be no sharp or dangerous objects within reach. There should be safety gates on the stairs and safety grills on the balconies. Not only should the windows and doors be locked, but you should have child-proof latches on them to make it more difficult to open. For sleepwalkers, the best thing would be to sleep on the ground floor. Use door alarms or motion sensors to get alerts, and lock away medicines and other dangerous things at a safe place. According to the data, about 7% of the world's population experiences sleepwalking at least once in their lifetime. About 3–4% of adults are regular sleepwalkers. This number is higher among children, almost 15%. About 15% of the children all around the world have sleepwalked at least once. But the positive news is that occasional sleepwalking is not a big problem, and most children grow out of this problem by the time they become adults. If you're a parent and have seen your child sleepwalking, the first thing to do is to secure the environment. The bedroom the child sleeps in. Make sure there are no sharp objects. The floor should be cleared of anything on which they might trip and fall. Always lock the doors and windows. And if the child is really young, you can buy this type of guardrails to put on the sides of the bed. This is a simple safety net that can be installed on 3 sides of the bed, tucked under the mattress. You can easily find it online. It's my strong belief that that was the case. Do you have an opinion on whether Scott Fallader was in a sleepwalking state when he stabbed his wife? In my opinion, he was. But after listening to the arguments in the court, the jury was not convinced. The murder weapon was a hunting-style knife found in the spare tire storage area of his car. This led them to believe that he had tried to hide the murder weapon. After this incident, Scott had taken off his clothes and kept them in a plastic bag, and after hiding them, he put on his pajamas. Anything in and around this black plastic trash bag? a Tupperware container that had articles of clothing within it that looked... In a closer examination, I noticed that they had bloodstains on them also. His neighbor, Greg, told the court that he was wearing gloves before drowning his wife in the pool. Greg testifies that he sees Scott putting on gloves as he approaches Jarmila's body. Apart from this, in this instance, it was noticed that it is highly unusual for a sleepwalker to do so many things during a single episode. His actions were lengthy and purposeful. That's clearly impossible on the second episode of violence. The jury was not convinced that he was sleepwalking, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. In Indian history, the oldest and most important case of sleepwalking is of Pappathi Ammal. She was a young mother, had given birth a few days earlier, but on the night of 28th of October, 1957, she jumped into a well with her child. She was saved, but her child had drowned and died. The police charged Pappathi with murder, but her lawyers argued that she was a sleepwalker and that she was sleeping when she jumped into the well with her child. Because she didn't know what she was doing, she shouldn't be punished. But when this argument was presented to the Sessions Court, the court rejected it and sentenced Pappathi to life imprisonment. The court said that sleepwalking was not considered unsoundness of mind under Section 84 of the Indian Penal Code. In response, Papathi's lawyers appealed in the Madras High Court. The High Court did not overturn the conviction since there was no expert examination in this case. But it did pass a revolutionary decision. The Madras High Court said that if it is proved beyond doubt that an accused was really sleepwalking, then under Section 84, it will be considered to be unsoundness of mind. Friends, this became a landmark case in India's legal history by establishing that sleepwalking can be a valid legal defense. Thirdly, obstructive sleep apnea is another important factor. It is a breathing disorder in it. The person can stop breathing for a short period of time while sleeping. If someone suffers from severe obstructive sleep apnea, their chances of sleepwalking increases. Fourth, medications like sedatives, antidepressants, and antipsychotics. These might be prescribed to treat heart diseases and anxiety, but they increase the risk of sleepwalking. On the other hand, among children, fever or any other illness can be a common trigger. There are more cases of sleepwalking among children suffering from asthma. Because of asthma, they don't get enough proper sleep, which triggers sleepwalking among such children. And now, friends, let's get back to the story from the beginning of this video. The question was, if a person commits a crime while sleepwalking, would he be considered guilty? This is a legal minefield, because two things are important in criminal law. One, the crime that has been committed, and second, the intent, the guilty mind. To be convicted for a crime, not only is it necessary for a person to have committed the crime, but the intent has to be proved as well. The reason behind committing the crime. In the case of the sleepwalkers, the body commits the crime, but their mind isn't involved in it. So there's crime without the intent. Even in the case of Kenneth Parks, his lawyers presented this argument in court, that Kenneth cannot be held responsible for the crime because he didn't do it willingly. Though his body committed the crime, his mind was not guilty. This was testified by medical experts that while committing the crime, Kenneth was sleepwalking. And so the jury acquitted Parks. He was found to be not guilty. This case became a landmark case for sleepwalking defense globally. But friends, it is important to tell you that the sleepwalking defense won't be successful always. If it were allowed, any person could show up with sleepwalking history, commit crimes, and evade justice. In such cases, everything depends on how much do the judge and jury believe the sleepwalker. Normally, courts are very skeptical about the defense of sleepwalking because they know that many criminals will try to use this as defense to save themselves. One judge even called it a quagmire or muddle of law. Because of this, the defense of sleepwalking has been very controversial in the courts. In 1997, in America, a man named Scott Fallater killed his wife at home. Jarmila Fallater had 44 stab wounds. In his defense, he claimed that he was sleepwalking. The defense tried to say that this was not Scott Fallater acting consciously, that this was a monster. Two experts testified that Scott was sleepwalking. And have you reached an opinion regarding whether he was sleepwalking? Secondly, if you see your child sleepwalking, there's no need to wake them up. Just carry them back to bed. If you need to speak to them, talk calmly and put them to sleep. Try not to wake them. Third, If you notice that your child sleepwalks at a certain time every night, then gently wake the child up about 15 minutes before this time. Doing this a few times will break the cycle. And if you are an adult sleepwalker, then focus on the risk factors of the triggers of sleepwalking. You need to bring about some lifestyle changes. Improve your sleep hygiene. It is crucial to maintain a consistent sleep schedule. Sleep at the same time at night and wake up at the same time in the morning. Try to reduce the stress you face in your daily life. You can also take therapy for this. And finally, remember that sleepwalking is not a supernatural phenomenon. It reveals a fascinating side of the human brain. Science may not have been able to explain it entirely till now, but like other mysteries, this is also a scientific and biological phenomenon. If you like this video, you'll definitely like this one too. In it, I talked about ghosts, the science behind ghosts. Do ghosts and spirits really exist? You can click here to watch it. Thank you very much!